Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm David, and today we'll talk about something a little bit interesting that I normally don't talk about, which is current events. But yesterday I saw online that there is a bill introduced in the US Senate regarding ending dual citizenships, making it clear that US citizens have I'm reading notes from there, that US citizens have a sole and exclusive allegiance to the United States. The author is an Ohio GOP Senator named Bernie Moreno. He's Colombian born and voluntarily gave up his citizenship there to become a US citizen at the age of 18. And I follow this because I'm kind of interested in this. I've been kind of looking into getting my Vietnamese citizenship back. And it's been a bit of a process because of my situation. If the process was a little bit faster, I'd probably be holding dual citizenships right now. But unfortunately, there's a little bit process on my case, and so it is an ongoing situation, still working on it. But he said that according to the senator who's a Republican, he says that being an American citizen is an honor and a privilege. And if you want to be an American, it's all or nothing. It's time to end dual citizenship for good. And yeah, when he makes that type of assumption, he's assuming that the only reason why people are deciding to keep their other citizenship or acquire a second citizenship is because of allegiance issue. It's not like family, or a culture or anything like that. Sometimes you go visit another country, you meet people. It's very global these days to meet people from other countries and develop relationships and marry and want to be in their country with their other half, their spouse. But that this makes an assumption that everybody who holds a dual citizenship is not allegiant to the United States, which is false and absolutely kind of a craven thing to say, especially coming from a politician. Anyways, before we continue on, let's go over some of the statistics that makes up the U.S. population, that how many people holding dual citizenships, that's types of stuff. First of all, U.S. is an immigrant country. There's a lot of immigrants, a lot of refugees that have fled there because of interventions that the U.S. has done in other countries, like me. And statistically, there are 40% of US citizens that are eligible for dual citizenships for one reason or another. And of that, only currently there are 500,000 to 6 million citizens that hold dual citizenships. Many of them are in Congress as well as local and state positions. There are members of the executive as well as the legislative branches that have dual citizenship holders, like Ted Cruz. He's Canadian as well as American. Also, Donald Trump's wife, Melania, and his son, they both hold Slovenian citizenships as well as US citizenships. There are no citizenship requirements as far as Supreme Court justices are concerned, so there's never been records kept about that, and no one has actually come out and said that they were holding dual citizenship. So currently there's no one like that in the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court has upheld dual citizenships in the past. The first being in 1795, just 12 years after the Revolutionary War. The case name is Talbot versus Jansen in 1790, and which the U.S. citizen had acquired a foreign citizenship and was told that he had to get rid of his American citizenship. The courts upheld that he could keep both citizenship. And the second important case being the one in 1967, Afroyan versus Russ, which ruled that the U.S. citizen cannot lose their citizenship unless they willingly surrendered it, meaning that they had to go through a process to surrender that citizenship. And in particular, in the Oath of Renunciation, which is part of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952, which states that you do have to go through a process to to renounce your status as an American citizen, which is actually you can make an appointment at the foreign country where you are, planning to take the oath of allegiance with. You have to talk to them. They have to verify your forms. There are certain forms you got to fill out. There are certain documentations to verify. They have to verify your identity and all that stuff. And then you got to pay a fee of like $2,000 or something like that. And then you got to pay all your taxes before they'll allow you to, leave the United States. This whole entire process that he's putting together actually flouts this process and what has been enacted into the Constitution. And so this is what happens after the passage of the bill. So the passage of the bill requires a signature from the President of the United States, and most likely it will probably get the signature from the United States President, because he's been kind of very, very open about wanting to stop birthright citizenship as well as limit the amount of people that can come to the United States. So after taking effect 100 days after the signing by the president, the dual citizenship holder has a year to submit a written renouncement of the U.S. citizenship or the renouncement of the foreign citizenship to Homeland Security. I don't know how they're going to figure that out, because currently there's no records being kept about who is holding dual citizenship. Yeah, I mean, there's actually no records of who's holding dual citizenship. Because right now there is no records being kept about dual citizenships at all. But the thing is, if you don't renounce your foreign citizenship or U.S. citizenship, they will assume that you are renouncing your U.S. citizenship, and they will deem it as voluntary per that section, the 349A(5) in the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952. So after the president signs the bill and it becomes ratified, then it goes to the Secretary of State, and it requires the Secretary to create regulations for this process. But the thing is, I thought Congress played a much bigger role in passing regulations. It's really the executive branch that actually enacts and enforces those regulations. So I'm not sure what kind of regulations the State Department, which is part of the executive department, is creating, but it seems like Congress should have a bigger role in this, right? And then it's up to them as well, the Secretary of State, to figure out a way to verify that proper individuals are being targeted. So right now there's no database or anything like that. So a database would need to be put together, as well as needs to be populated. So you're gonna have assumptions being made, or you asking people to voluntarily come out and be a part of this data system that is being created from this bill. Anyways, they also are required to coordinate records are properly updated with other federal departments, which I find is very interesting, because when I became a U.S. citizen about 20 years ago, I had a different name, and I changed that name when I became naturalized. And there's paperwork regarding me changing that already. All my documents, my driver's license, passports, all that stuff has my current name. But I found out recently that Social Security and my military record shows a very different name, my old name. And so it's really kind of weird that you require records to be properly recorded between different agencies, when right now they're not doing that type of stuff. You're going to put an entire new system, hopefully it catches everything. That's probably not very, I don't know. I really don't have much trust in US government being able to properly do stuff without the citizens initiating it. Anyway, so this is what it is. This is the new little thing that this person who's a senator from Ohio is doing. It isn't the first time that this has been attempted. And do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. I think you got a lot of challenges here, just from the processes and from assumption that people aren't allegiant when you are dual citizenship holder. There's no other reason. Family isn't a reason. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's just a lot of challenges. You'll probably see if it does pass, it'll probably get signed by Trump, and it'll go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will be the ultimate determiner of whether or not dual citizenships will end in this country or not, because they have been historically the branch of government that has made that decision, and there are precedents. There are literally hundreds of years of precedents as to the debate about dual citizenships. And a lot of people are constantly talking about allegiance and being fealty to another country while you're a US citizen, how it's a threat, and blah, blah, blah. You know what? There's been a lot of people that's been doing that. And of the millions of people who have held that and are holding it, what percentage of these people have shown like lack of allegiance and stuff like that? I mean, there's so many reasons why people are doing this, and to put this out there, it's kind of insulting in a way. But I don't know. That's me. What do you think about this whole situation? Do you think this is stupid? This is something that's relevant? We should pursue this as a country and just get rid of like 40% of people who can't hold dual citizenships? Maybe, the rate of people renouncing US citizenship would rise, considering everything that's happening in this country. I'm here in Vietnam, still here, going to be here for quite a while, and I'm enjoying it. Anyways, if you want to see what I do in Vietnam and how things are going as an expat in Vietnam, subscribe and turn on notifications, and also give this video a like. It'll really help the channel grow. Thanks for getting lost with me, and I'll see you on the next one.